Hey, what's going on, everyone? I am back for another Slim Sports interview. And as always, I'm your host, Jay Slim. And joining me once again, back from doing the first round last year, now back for round two on the podcast from Rio Grande Valley, a dominant forward for this team, has broken record after record and has helped lead them to an incredible season this past year, making it to the WNIT, run in the playoffs, and is the queen of double doubles. It is official with all the numbers that she's able to put up. Ladies and gentlemen, 6'3" forward, Charlotte O'Keefe. How's it going, Charlotte?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing great. Excited to get you back on another fantastic season for you where you were able to get even more accomplishments, not just for yourself, but for this team as a whole. You've gotten to grow in this program over the past 4 years. You've seen the highs and the lows, and obviously ending it on the best way possible for you with some big time wins, big time accomplishments. And I want fans, viewers that are just now getting to learn your name, to learn some of the accolades to your name in a quick segment that I like to call Resume Rundown, where I'm going to do what I do best, showing off what you do best. That's making a nice little graphic here. First team All Southland Conference this year, all defensive team for the second straight year, ending up helping this team to the 2025 WNIT, go into the second round after a great first round win against Austin P. Over 1,000 career points and 1,000 career rebounds. You hold the all-time records at UTRGV for rebounds as well as blocks. And then once again, you ended up leading the conference in rebounds, second in blocks, and then top five in the entire country in rebounds as well. So obviously, a whole lot of accolades right there, and that's not even all of the ones to your name. But we're gonna hop right into the questions here, and I gotta talk about this career overall real quick that you had going into this year. You're coming off of your best year yet, averaging a double double. You're getting all these different recognitions. You were all conference a year ago as well, and you're coming into this year, wanting more. We talked about it last time I had you on. You wanted to lead this team to a dominant season, just like you just had, and you kind of had that little bit of a chip on your shoulder, knowing you guys had the potential, knowing what you guys could do. You guys beat Houston last year, a team from the Big 12, and you guys were able to compete with some of the best this year as well. Talk to me real quick about that mentality entering this season and how you say you guys were really able to execute.
Yeah, I think, like you said, my goal was to just get as many wins as possible with my teammates, and yeah, we did a nice job overall. We this was the most wins in program history, so really proud of us for that, and yeah, I'm really proud of the season that this team had.
Yeah, I mean, having 21 wins on the season, 21-14 overall record, 16-6 in Southland Conference. And I mean, you guys had some big time wins. I mentioned that Austin P win 71-59 in the first round of WNIT, beat Northwestern State in the Southland quarterfinals 76-67. And then Southeastern Louisiana at home, you guys had a big game there. You yourself had a big time performance against them. It seemed like every time you played the Lions, 78-65 win there. So you guys were able to really blend well as a team where, nowadays in college sports, you transfer portal, you always have new people coming in, people leaving every single year. And you guys really blended together, especially because you had yourself, Gianna, and a couple of other returners coming in. And you yourself, as I mentioned before, you've always been able to grow in this program. You had great numbers last time I had you on, and this year is no different. You improved in pretty much every single category. You averaged 12.4 points, 13.8 rebounds, grew that field goal percentage by, I believe, 8%, averaged a block and a half. 3-point percentage went up a ton as well. Talk to me real quick about what you would say the X factor was for you this season as far as the growth in your skill set to be able to contribute in so many more different ways than a year ago.
I don't know if there's an X factor. I think I have a really great ability to improve. I've improved every single year since my freshman year in high school. I've every year I can look back and think of things that I wasn't doing the year before. So I think this was just another year that, I looked at last year. I was proud of a lot of areas, and there were areas I wanted to improve, and then that's just what I worked on.
Hey, obviously, you did a great job with that. I mean, the 3-point percentage that you had, you were knocking down threes left and right this year. Whether it was trailing, they kicked it out to you, boom. I mean, you have a couple buzzer beaters on your record as well, not just from that buzzer beater that you had against Houston a year ago, but added to that this year with a couple more. That we'll get into some of those plays here in a moment. But I mean, just some of these performances going against Houston this year, you had 20 points and 14 rebounds. Houston Christian was 19 points and 22 boards. And then going against Southeastern Louisiana, I mentioned before, you always dominate against the Lions. 22 points, 22 rebounds, 4 blocks. So just outstanding performances left and right throughout the season. And I mean, the season overall was incredible, but it wasn't without the adversity at the start of the season. You guys had a couple of wins back and forth, beating some very talented teams, but a very tough non-conference schedule overall, going against teams like TCU, Texas, who I believe was number 2 in the country at the time. You know, Houston, still from the Big 12, you hung tough with them. And you yourself, you ended up missing, I believe, 6 games due to injury, somewhere around there. How would you say that yourself and the team as a whole really was able to persevere through this tough non-conference schedule first couple of weeks of the season, and how did that help you guys move forward?
Well, so yeah, I broke my hand, and this was kind of my first injury ever. So for me personally, it was a new experience, not playing, and yeah, I want to thank my coaches. They worked really hard with me to get me back to, knocking down threes and shooting the ball well. And as for the team, we actually switched our offense probably around that time when I was coming back. So we switched from dribble drive to 5 game. And yeah, that made a huge difference. Just it was much better style of play for the personnel we had. And so yeah, I give coach a lot of credit for making that switch.
Yeah, I mean, you guys had a lot of talent on this team. You and I forget her name. You guys had another first team all conference selection member on your team that came in from the JUCO ranks and just lit it up. Ivy Brown, I know from the FSW ranks, she's another JUCO product, came in great on the boards. Obviously, Gianna coming back for her second year, and then just so much other talent throughout this roster, led, of course, by yourself, a veteran in this program, where you're known for being that leader, being that go-to player when times get tough. And you were able to come up in the clutch in some big time moments once again this season. And I want to show off some of these big time highlights once again in a segment that I like to call Make That Play, where we got to have fun with this last year, where I got to put together my top 3 plays for your season, what I felt like were your best 3 plays at least. But obviously, I'm just a fan of stands. I'm just a stats guy. You're the one on the court doing what you do best. So, what would you say was your best play from this past season?
Well, it was a bit of luck, but I hit a shot to send us into overtime against UIW. I banked a three in, and so that was a big shot. And I don't know if that's one of the plays you came up with, but the backstory is we were down like 12 with 2 minutes left, and my team really rallied there at the end, and then I hit that shot to send us into overtime, and we ended up winning in overtime. So that was a big shot, but I banked it in. It was a bit of luck.
Hey, well, actually, if I had gone down to 5, that actually was on my list there for a little while. Because, like you said, you ended up helping to force overtime, and you know I love those big time clutch shots that you're able to hit. And some of these other ones, I guess you could replace it with that UIW one, obviously. But I'm gonna go ahead and hop into mine. And at number 3, I have a buzzer beater that you had going against New Orleans, where I believe it was wrapping up the first quarter. You guys were coming down the court. And you ended up hitting a nice little side step, step back type of 3-pointer to beat the buzzer to wrap up the first quarter there. So obviously the Privateers knew that you were a big time threat down in the post. Now they also know, hey, I can knock down this 3-pointer whenever I want. And that wasn't the only 3 that you had, because at number 2, going against Abilene Christian, defense to offense. You had a big time block on one end, came back, and you were rewarded with that 3-pointer. You ended up just swatting their shot at the rim and went down to the other side. Your teammate hit you perfectly right there at the top of the arc, cashing a 3 like it was nothing there, like you're Steph Curry. And then number 1, this one is going to be in the post here because it was a nice little and one that you had, nice little spinning hook shot going against East Texas A&M, where your teammate got you on the block. You ended up hitting a nice little spin move to get past the first defender, going into contact on a nice little hook shot. They foul you, you make the shot, you go to the line for the and one opportunity. So those were my top three there. Obviously, you mentioned the UIW one, and then with all the points that you put on the board this past season, obviously there were a whole lot more plays where you were getting double teamed, triple teamed at times, and you were still able to get the rebounds, score in the post, do whatever it was that you could do. And you really were this iron woman for this team. You had 10 games where you played 40 minutes or more, if you include the overtime ones. You had only one game this season where you played less than 30 minutes, and that was your guys' blowout win over Arlington Baptist. And then the final 5 games of the season, you played the entire game. You never left the court. Talk to me real quick about taking on this type of load, because obviously everyone gets tired. Everyone, gets a little gassed every once in a while, but it seemed like you never did. It seemed like you were always ready for the moment, always ready to be in there whenever your coach needed you. Talk to me real quick about taking on that type of role in those moments.
I think I just have a lot of adrenaline. I I was better able to prepare myself, this off season because I just know what it takes. I didn't know I would be playing that much, but I did focus on fitness more in the off season, and then but honestly, it all kind of went away when I broke my hand. I went back to basically square one, and then I think just adrenaline kicks in, and I'm not really thinking about coming out or anything. I just yeah, just focus on basketball, and then second the final buzzer sounds, I'm pretty gassed, but during the game I don't really think about it much.
Mhm. Hey, when you're on the court, you're just trying to do whatever it takes to win. And obviously, when you guys got into Southland Conference action, you had a whole lot of wins. I mentioned before, 16-6 in Southland Conference play. You guys had a dominant win streak at one point. I believe you guys won 11 out of 12 games at one point of the season there towards the middle of the Southland Conference action. And you guys just were climbing the standings left and right. You guys ended up, I believe, getting a bye in the Southland Conference tournament. Obviously, you guys go on, beat Northwestern State in the quarterfinals. What would you say really clicked around that time? I know you mentioned before how the offense, you guys changed things around to fit the personnel better. Was it just that? Were there some other factors? What was it that really clicked around that time to go off on this win streak?
Yeah, I think that was the main factor. And also we played a pretty tough non-conference schedule. So I think, we had it was I mean the Southland was just an easier schedule than we'd been playing in the non-conference. We played really tough teams. So that's probably why we weren't winning as many games, but I think it prepared us for the Southland, and that mixed with the change in the offense just really helped us gel and get on that run.
Hey, absolutely. I mean, you guys deserve it with the work that you guys put in. Obviously, this team had so many talented players, and that's why you guys were able to get that bye, get that win in the Southland tournament, go on to the WNIT, continue your season in the postseason, and get a first round win. And like you mentioned before, most wins ever for this program. Talk to me real quick about that postseason run, beating Northwestern State, obviously beating Austin P in the WNIT. Everyone knows that when you get into the postseason, it's a different feeling than the regular season. Regular season, okay, season's still going on, but postseason, it's all right, it's do or die. Our season might be done if we lose this game. Talk to me real quick about the execution that you guys had to be able to win those postseason games and continue your season.
Yeah, it is a different feeling, but I don't think we approached it any differently. We approached it as we approach every game. We just want to win. I, and during regular season, we wouldn't really think about the next game, and during postseason, we weren't really thinking about the next game either. We are just quite focused on playing the game we were about to play.
Okay, great mentality to have. Obviously, why you guys were able to do what you did. And I mentioned before, you growing in this program. You've been there for 4 years. This was your senior year. Obviously, you have all these different records. You have all these different accolades. But for you, Rio Grande Valley is home. You've seen it from when you guys were, having losing records to, last year, you guys go off and have a 500 season. You see that progress, see what the future can hold, and you guys make good on it this past season, having that winning record and obviously the postseason run. What does it mean to you as someone who has stayed loyal to UTRGV in a day and age where everyone's entering the portal, everyone's trying to get, all this NIL money, where you easily could have entered the portal and been one of these top prospects, but you stayed loyal, knew where you belonged, and you were able to help this program grow?
I'm really, proud of my team, and And yeah, there's been loads of progress in my program and in the university as a whole. Our athletic director, Mr. Chase Conk's done a super nice job at just expanding this whole thing. So it's a completely different feeling now just around campus than it was 4 years ago. We now have football, which is great, and all of our sports are really thriving. Women's basketball is another example of that, and I think so much has been invested into this program that it makes it a lot easier for us as players to want to invest in it as well and invest in ourselves and yeah, help this thing grow. So yeah, I'm really proud of the progress that this program's made, and I think it's going to keep trending in that direction.
Hey, shout out to the athletic director. I actually had one of your guys' football players on this podcast season, ex Nolan, great guy, great receiver. And obviously, with what the women's basketball program has been able to do already, what they're going to continue to do, I mean, absolutely insane. When you look at the previous records to where they are now in just a short amount of time, obviously, you being a key factor in that success. And you know, a lot of these players that are going to be coming back for, RGV and what they're looking to do next season. Obviously, continue off that success and go even further. Hopefully, make it to the national tournament with the Southland Conference Championship under their belt. And I want to give you a chance to shout out some of these players that you know, whether it is from RGV or even some of the ones that you might know at other schools, in a quick segment that I like to call Who's Up Next, which we got to do last year. You recommended Gianna. I had her on. She did a fantastic job. So I know you're going to recommend some good players. So who would you say this time around is up next on the Slim Sports podcast?
Well, I think John would be great to have back on. And then my teammates Bunny or Jalea and Chaz, I think they'd both be fun to have on. They both had great seasons. Chaz just came off her freshman season, super dominant, and obviously Bunny, first team all Southland newcomer of the year, key part to our team. So they'd be great to have on. Erin McGuire would be really nice to have on as well. She's next year will be her 5th year. Um, and yeah, she had a really great season as well. From other teams, there's a girl from McNeese. Her last name's Alexander. I forgot her first name. She was really solid. She's really good player and she just carries herself really well. I think she'd be nice to have on. I'm trying to think. There's a girl from Northwestern State. Vernell's her last name, but I don't know if she's like their coach just went to North Alabama, so I don't know if she's following her coach. But she was a Southland Player of the Year. She's really, really talented player. I think she'd be interesting to talk to. And yeah.
Hey, there you go. Obviously, you know ball pretty well, so I'm gonna take a look at all those players. Definitely gonna get Jana back on, and absolutely your teammates this year with what they were able to do. Definitely getting all of them on so they can tell their story. At least I'm gonna reach out to them. Hopefully, they respond. Sometimes people leave me in the request part, so it's just part of the gig. It's part of podcast life. Thankfully, though, Charlotte O'Keefe is always able to hop on the podcast, and we are very appreciative of that. And what I cannot wait to see is the next step in your journey. I mean, with the numbers that you were putting up throughout your career, obviously, if you choose to do so, you can have a professional career. Is that what you're looking to do? How are you really attacking this offseason to make that happen if it is? And what does the future hold for your future career and whatever it might be?
Yeah, I am looking to play pro. I just decided on an agent to sign with, so I'm gonna sign that paperwork in the next probably 48 hours, and then yeah, just go from there. I'll probably go overseas in September, maybe Europe, and then hopefully Australia after. And yeah, just do that for a bit. If I love it, keep going, and if I don't, then stop.
Hey, well, you can play however long you want with what you're able to do on the court. Definitely cannot wait to see what the professional career has in store for yourself. Beyond blessed to be able to have seen your journey, and you already know that once you get done with your rookie year in the pros, you always have a spot to hop back on the podcast to talk about your career, talk about your seasons. Definitely a part of the Some Sports family, the queen of double doubles. Thank you so much for once again hopping on the Some Sports podcast for another fantastic interview, Charlotte.
Thank you for having me.